Okay guys, so let's talk about Luke again. Because I'm seeing all these thumbnails on YouTube now everywhere with Daigo, always saying Luke is the best or I have to play him. It's like all these videos are popping up on my feed now. You know how many videos I'm seeing with people with the jump scare face saying Luke is OP, he's broken. And I feel like, man, we gotta talk about this again, because even on my own tier list, I put Luke in his own tier called Luke tier. I guess we should discuss as his season, because the season's basically just started. We're about to get tournaments soon, and how much of a problem this really is, because a lot of people are talking about this in general. Every single season in this game, there are definitely some characters that stand out, that are obviously really, really powerful, Season 1, we've seen a lot of Nash. And then we see a lot of Cammy, we see a lot of Rashid, right? We had a season with Akuma, we had the Minot saga, even Guile. We've seen a lot of these characters pop up. It's never one, right? It's always a few characters that we know are obviously up top, right? The top 5 or the top 10. But this time it's really unique because it's the first time that we're talking about just one character. Last season, for example, it was debatable between like Cammy or Yuri, and those were the most popular 2 best characters. And then we had Luke. A lot of people said Luke was like top 3, right? It wasn't just one. And the last season too, a lot of people were saying that this was like the most balanced state and season of Street Fighter V. The game is so balanced now, even though we have characters that we know are clearly top tier and really good. In general, a lot of characters are viable now. We got a good pool of characters to play. But then after, everyone wanted Cammy to be nerfed. Everyone wanted Urien to be nerfed. And Seth recently got nerfed the season before, and it kind of backfired. The nerfs on Cammy and Urien were pretty extreme. Cammy, they cut her limbs off. Urien, they did one of the biggest single nerfs in Street Fighter history. It's heavily agreed upon by almost everyone that Luke is the best character in the game right now. There has never been a season of the undisputed #1 character. Never. It's always debatable between 2 or 3 different characters, right? At the least. Just how bad is it that Luke is the best character, right? Let's say we accept he's the best character. How bad is it? If we look at other fighting games, or even let's just look at Street Fighter 4. What were the seasons of craziness of Street Fighter 4? The character at the top. Is Luke more annoying than a character like Young was when Young was at the top? Or Elena? Or, Evil Ryu or Seth? Is Luke that bad in terms of being OP? I don't think there's anything super particularly cheap about Luke, except for maybe his forward moving normals, right? His ridiculous crouching light punch, but he's more of a character that just has like every single tool. He's got everything. He's like Akuma, but without the downside of the low health. Yeah, DeCapri, right? Vanilla Sagat, Vanilla Sagat. I think the most OP though is probably Young though, and Elena. Young and Elena were like, they broke the game. Young was like 3 blocked medium punches into EX command grab. It was so absurd. Elena like broke the game with the healing. That was something where I was like, man, we need an emergency patch here. We need to fix this, right? But it wasn't like that back then. It was like we didn't get our balance patches until we got our expansions. You had to buy a new game to get a balance patch. Yeah, how the times have changed. You guys can thank Cross Tekken for that. Because of Cross Tekken, Capcom basically changed their whole DLC practices. Even though I don't think Luke is super OP, I think there's another issue, and that issue is that if there's only one character that everyone thinks is the best, then why not play him? I think that's a problem in itself, Why not play him if you know this character is the best and you know he has all the tools? I think that's really going to hurt competitively the CPT in general. We're going to have a lot of mirror matches. We saw already last season, near the end, especially on the Japanese side, there are a ton of Luke players, man. A ton. We've already seen a few mirror matches. And this season, it have to be even worse, right? And it's kind of funny too, because Daigo's been really outspoken on this, and he's talking about like the pro players, like they don't want to play mirror matches themselves, so they're trying to find excuses not to play Luke, Like the Urien players are like, hey, we're gonna use Bison instead. Daigo's thinking of still using Guile V-Trigger too, because it would be boring for the pros too. It's kind of funny because it's like, it's between having fun and just wanting to win. And Daigo's joking around about like, man, if you use Luke, it just shows how desperate you are to win. And then we have players like Tokido. Tokido's maining Luke right now, which is funny. anyone who plays a Shoto is pretty much playing Luke, and Shotos are like the most popular character. A ton of people on the American side switching to Luke as well. Chris CCH is using Luke, Nephew's using Luke. It's gonna be Luke Nation, man, on both sides of the world. So that's pretty crazy. The pros they're being made fun of and ridiculed among other pros. I'm using Luke to the point where it's like there's kind of this unwritten rule where everyone's like, okay, man, how about we all agree not to play Luke this season? That way we don't have to deal with these mirror matches, you know? Because if everyone, let's say Daigo jumps on Luke, right? Tokido's using Luke, Mago switches to Luke, or Eita or whoever, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, okay, well, I have to play Luke too, right? Then you have a huge problem for everyone. And it kind of reminds you of those old Super Turbo days, you know, the ST days? You guys know about the soft ban on old Sagat. You know, there's a hard ban. Hard ban is like Akuma. You know, you're not allowed to use them. It's banned. It's illegal to use that character. But we had this thing where in ST there was a soft ban, and that just means that it's agreed upon amongst pros that you don't use old Sagat. Even though you're allowed to use him in tournaments, no one used him. And it was called a soft ban. It was like frowned upon to use old Sagat. Which was really hilarious because, you know, yes, dishonorable, exactly. But then you have EVO, the international tournament, and you have all these American players picking old Sagat. I can't imagine what the Japanese players were thinking. They're like, come on, bro. Are you that desperate? Like, come on. We had a good thing here. Is Luke gonna be like that character now? Will we just agree and soft ban him from tournaments if Capcom doesn't step in? It's funny. Luke is a pretty popular character though. Like when you see the pick rate up on the CFN website, but I haven't run into many. It's mostly like in the pro scene. But every time someone mentions Luke on any type of social media, even in my Twitch chat, you know, you guys just hate Luke. Oh, he's so lame, such a boring design, you know? But I feel like, man, at least he's a Shoto, you know? Like, I would rather see a character, the #1 character, be a Shoto character than something really obnoxious and annoying. Like the season with a ton of Monots, right? Or honestly, Laura or Abigail, you know? Where it's just, I don't know, there's certain characters where like, there's certain characters people can accept of being the best and certain characters people can't. Capcom seems to understand this too with grapplers in general. We were talking about before, like which character could we live with that no one complains about even though they know the character is super strong or OP. And I would say that was Akuma by far, dude. Akuma, man. You know, Akuma or Ken or Ryu, those three characters would get a pass. When Akuma was in his prime, he was so good. No one complained about Akuma. Well, I mean, some people complain about Akuma, but it wasn't like, man, we need a patch. We need to fix this character. People like watching Akuma. But I think Luke, I think there could be worse in general. I don't think there should be one and only one best character. We want to strive for balance. We want it to be debatable. So I'm with you guys there. I guess another thing we should talk about is, do you guys, like, honestly, do you guys feel like Capcom is trying to push Luke, force him down our throats? Like, what I'm trying to say is Luke getting unfair treatment? Do you feel like Capcom could have went harder on the nerfs on Luke, and they're like, no, he's the Street Fighter 6 poster boy, he's the future of Street Fighter, we want to promote Street Fighter 6, Luke must remain strong. Yeah, I think it's pretty unanimous. I think you guys all agree that he is getting some type of unfair treatment. But once again, he did get some nerfs, but I guess when you put it on the scale of Cammy and Yuri, there's definitely some characters I feel like get unfair treatment for sure. And some characters I feel like, yeah, I feel like there's some characters that Capcom just, I don't know, it's personal with them, you know? Especially Birdie. Looking at those Birdie patch notes, they're like, come on, bro, it's so obvious. For a while there, I thought Alex was too, until this patch. I think they just threw Alex a bone, man. They wanted to distract us. Same with Jury too. I feel like it would have been blatantly obvious if like they didn't nerf Luke at all, then it would have been devastating. If Luke still had the same health, oh my goodness. It'd be brutal. Do you guys think that everyone's jumping the gun here and we need an emergency patch for Luke? Or do you guys think like, hey man, we'll just see where the cards fall and see about this soft ban and see where it takes us, how many mirror matches we get? What are the chances though? What do you guys think the chances are that Capcom will step in and do an emergency patch? Because like we talked about before, it's happened a couple of times. We know officially this is the last patch of Street Fighter V, officially. But if there's any, you know, it's not like Capcom cannot make an emergency patch, especially if it's like one character. They can do that. But what will they nerf on Luke? Will they lower his health even more? Will they nerf his fireball? They would have to go after a key tool. They would have to, like, even if they extended his hurt box and recovery on his normals, like Cammy and Kadeen styles, the fact that he moves so forward, man, I don't know. He's got so many good buttons. It would have to be like a laundry list of like hurt box changes. And even then, he still has a fireball. You know, that's the funny thing about characters that are so good in neutral, like Colleen or Cammy or Kadeen. All these characters got huge neutral nerfs, but Luke would still have a fireball, you know, to overcome it. And it's, like I said, in my opinion, the best fireball in the game. They would have to like literally go after everything to convince someone not to use it. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves. We have to see how these tournaments go. I'm super excited to see offline tournaments again. I really, like, you know, Street Fighter V has been such a roller coaster ride, but I don't want this last season or this last year to be remembered as this pay-to-win Luke promoting Street Fighter 6 season. I don't want it to be like that. I feel like there's some really cool stuff in these patch notes that I want to see, and you know, it wasn't the absolute best patch, but it was good. It was pretty good. I want Street Fighter V to be kind of have a good send-off of being like this game that's like, man, they got it really balanced, right? And I just want it to be remembered well, you know. Ultra Street Fighter 4, we remember it as like Elena, and we remember Young. It's usually the last thing you remember is what is gonna like take over, and before everyone uses Jury or Dawson.